You're still struggling in sales. That's why you clicked on this video. You've listened to all the tips that your sales managers has given. You even probably got some great tips from a book you bought on Amazon or the sales course you bought. You're following your script and your process down to the T, but you still have struggles connecting with the prospects, and they're just blowing you left and right. And on top of that, your conversion rate is not where you want to be at. It's either below mediocre or it's mediocre. So in this video, we're going to talk about three main topics. One, we're going to talk about what is the main reason why you're still struggling in sales after all these years. And the main reason, and it's probably the most untalked topic, is your engagement. It's your poor engagement that's really holding you back. And we'll discuss what is an engagement. The second topic, we're going to talk about, well, why is engagement so important? Why is it so important? What does it have to do with sales and success of sales? Third, we're going to talk about, well, how can we engage properly when we're talking to our prospects? Whether you're going to a meeting, whether you're booking an appointment, whether you're doing a call, doesn't matter. In any situation, we need to learn how to engage properly with the client. So my name is Eric Lee. I am a sales coach and a leader. I've been in the sales industry for nearly a decade now at this point, and I have personally helped hundreds of salespeople in my career, whether they're just starting out, to people who are intermediates, to people who are more advanced, who's been in for many years. And I help identify the gap that's been really holding them back to reach their max potential and help them provide a fruitful long-term sales career. So let's talk about the first topic of the video, and let's talk about, well, what is an engagement? And I actually have my own unique definition when it comes to, well, what's an engagement? And it is a type of energy and aura that you bring into a certain social situation where both or multiple parties can feel when there's interaction happening. Now, just off the bat, that's a tough way to understand what engagement is just by reading the definition. So I'll provide some more detailed examples for you guys to help digest this definition better, and it'll make sense to you guys. Now, I want you guys to imagine two unique situations. The first situation is, imagine two people arguing about politics, let's say. And just when you look at those two people arguing, you can imagine the type of engagement they're sharing. It's probably going to be quite argumentative. There's maybe some aggression, offensiveness. Energy will be quite high and intense. And you can imagine their intention when they're talking to each other is to either beat or to win over a certain argument or topic, and to, of course, defend their own point of view. So it's a very hostile and aggressive environment when it comes to just by looking at these two people arguing about politics. Let's imagine now the second situation, and imagine a group of guys planning a bachelor party a year down the line. And you can now imagine the engagement in this situation is very different than the first situation, those two people arguing about politics. Now they're probably interacting in a way that's a lot more hopeful, happy, forward-looking, excitement. And you can probably imagine their intention when they're interacting will be helpful. It'll be collaborative. They'll probably try to give some ideas to what we can do when we go to this party. And again, just by comparing these two situations, you will see the energy in the aura vastly contrast. One is very argumentative, it's very hostile. The other one is very more exciting and happy, it's much lighter. Now, let's do a flip side. Could you now imagine, let's look at situation 2, for example. Could you now imagine when those group of guys are talking about planning their bachelor party, one of the guys just stands up and starts freaking out and gets angry at everyone? Now, if you were to see that, what would you make of that? That would be strange. That would be too random. That just does not fit the situation that is intended for. I mean, if you're talking about planning a bachelor trip, why would anyone get mad? See, that's very odd. Now, how does this example relate to sales? Well, it relates to sales because we are doing the exact same thing when we get into a sales situation. There is a correct way of engaging when you're talking to a prospect. But where most salespeople get it wrong is when they go into a sales situation, they don't use the right engagement. Just like that guy who starts freaking out in that bachelor party planning, it just doesn't make sense. It's uncomfortable. It pretty much ruined the whole vibe. And you can imagine a lot of salespeople do this. Now, they're not freaking out at the prospects, but the way they're engaging to the prospects is what's causing them to struggle in sales for many, many years. And this is why it does not matter if you follow the script down to the T. If you're unable to engage the client properly, it won't work. Because when we talk about engagement, there's two things you have to consider. One, you have to consider what is the context of the situation. So when we use situation one, if two people are arguing about politics, well, that's the context. Who's right, who's wrong. Situation two, the context is there's a group of guys who are planning a trip to, let's say, Vegas. That's the context. In sales, we also need to define what's the context. So that's the first thing you have to consider when it comes to engagement. The second thing is, what is the intention of that situation? So if you look at the situation number one, intention of those two people arguing is to have their opinion more superior than theirs opinion. Like, I think this party is better than your party, for example. I think my opinion is better than your opinion. Is to win over. It's a win-loss situation. In situation two, well, the intention is, well, we're just trying to be collaborative. They're trying to help and give different ideas to how we can best make this bachelor party so we can all enjoy. So in sales, we also need to define what is the situation and what is the intention. And why most people struggle in sales is because they mislabel the situation in a sales environment and they use the wrong intention. And this is where it leads to salespeople either being overly greedy or needy, hesitant, aggressive, not present, not empathetic enough, wrong pace. Well, let's define what is the correct way of viewing a sales situation. And in my opinion, there's only one correct way of viewing sales environment, and that is sales is a helpful and a collaborative environment where the only person that's winning is the prospect. Sales is not a win-lose situation. Sales is not for you to make money off the prospect. You are completely out of the image when it comes to sales. It's all about the prospect. It's all about how can we make sure the prospect wins? How can we make sure that we figure out their problems based off the situations they've given, and we provide them the best solution. And sometimes that best solution is not selling them. Well, let's talk about the second point. Why is this so important when it comes to sales? Why is engagement so important? Well, engagement is so important because your prospects will subconsciously and consciously make a decision to work and buy from you, your product and service, based off your intention. You see, if you have the wrong intention, and the wrong intention is you're being greedy, you're out there to make money off of them, you're out there to win over them, you're trying to convince them, they will sense that. They will sense your aura and energy based off your intention. And they're going to feel like, well, I don't think your interest is that my best interest. This is where a lot of prospects get turned off. And the frustration also, where a lot of people probably gone through this is, well, I felt like I've done everything correctly during the sales process. I'm saying everything correctly. I'm asking the right discovery questions. I'm asking the right urgency questions. And I'm getting to the close. I've done a perfect presentation, but the clients are just blowing me off left and right. Because it could be that they think you're too salesy. Could be also think that you are not there for them. Or another way of thinking about it is that they think you're not really there to help them out. And you're only there to fill your own pocket. Very important concept to understand, guys. If you really want to be great at sales, you have to always consider what is the prospect's view of my intention when I'm talking to them. Because just like anyone else, including myself, including you guys, I don't think we want to work with a salesperson whose interest is over mine. And this is why when I define engagement, I really focus on energy and aura. If you have the wrong intention, we get into a sales call, we go into a meeting, the prospect will feel this greedy and needy energy off of you. And subconsciously, also sometimes consciously, they just don't want to work with you. Even if the product is great, even if the service does make sense, they just don't want to work with you. And to me, that's a big shame because you've done such a hard work perfecting your script, you've prospected a client, and you get to the end and they don't buy from you because they thought you were sleazy or you were too salesy or you couldn't connect with them. And especially nowadays, guys, because there's so much competitors out there and there's products and services that are just equally or better than yours, it is so important that we have to really consider engagement and connecting with the client every time we get into a call. Well, so let's talk about the last point, guys. How can I engage with the client properly? It's actually quite easy. It's much easier than you think. It does take some quite a practice, and I'll give you the exact guideline and the homework for you guys to master this. The first thing we're going to do, guys, is we have to correctly label what a sales situation is. And that is, we need to start thinking as a collaborative and helpful environment where the only person that is winning is your prospect. This is not a win-lose situation. This is not a situation where you have to convince the client to say yes. Stop thinking like that. Stop thinking about your money. Stop thinking about your quota. Stop thinking about your promotions. Take yourself completely out of this. This is all about the prospects. That's step one. Step two, we need to now have the right intention when we get into these calls, when we get into these meetings. And how do we set the right intention? To have the right intention, you need to have the right thoughts. When you have the right thoughts going into the meeting, your engagement will mirror your thoughts. That's right. So if you just have the correct thought, your engagement will automatically change. That is how easy it is to change your engagement. Now, the hard part is, for many years, you weren't thinking this way. You weren't viewing the sales situation correctly. You probably had a wrong intention every time you get into a call. So there's a lot of unwiring to do. So an easy way to understand intention is this. The more you think about yourself in a sales call, the more you think about me, how I sound, how I want to make money off this deal, how much the commission, how I can convince this person, how I can win over an argument, blah, blah, blah. The poorer your engagement is going to sound. The more you think about the prospect, how can I help this client out the best as possible? How can I just have a great conversation about their problems based off their situation, and how can I provide the best solution? How can I make sure that the prospect absolutely wins when we have this chat? Then better your engagement is going to sound. So start thinking that way, guys. Every time you get into a call, start thinking, how can I best help the client? How can I best serve the prospects? How can I make sure the prospect wins? Now, I want to give you guys a homework that anyone can follow, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what level you're at in sales. It's a very powerful homework that will immediately change your engagement, and you can build instant trust with your prospect. You want to have a mantra that you repeat, you meditate daily at work. And this mantra needs to focus on how you can best serve and help the client and your prospects. And you need to write this down, having a sticky note, and look at it and repeat it every day. I'm saying repeat this because we need to retrain our subconscious mind. We need to change your selfish intent into a helpful intent. And the mantra that I tell all my guys to follow is this. I just tell them, guys, make sure when you get into a call that you're providing them the best solution based off the problem you found from their situation. Because when you start thinking that way, when you start to repeat that mantra, your engagement will automatically change. You're going to sound more calm. You're going to sound more engaging. You're going to be more empathetic. You're going to instantly sound more trusting towards the client. Well, the exact science is your engagement will always mirror your thoughts. That's it. If you have an angry thought, you will engage in an angry manner. If you have a happy thought, when you speak, you're going to sound more happy. When you have a thought about helping someone, we're going to sound more empathetic and trusting. It's simply that. And I just have them think about that all day. Before they get into the call, I have them think about that. During the call, I have them think about that. And especially during the closing, when you ask for the order and when you collect all the information, you really want to think about that, because this is where a lot of the people intention goes from helpful to about myself, because things can get quite intense during close. A client might give you an objection about price or how they don't want to go through with it. And this is where we can get greedy and needy again. So you have to really make sure that we switch our brain, we switch your thought into, if you have a concern, let me help you out. If you have a price concern, let me best help you out. And when you are able to engage that way, the client, the prospect, will trust you even more. And it makes your objection handling that much easier. And guys, this is such a powerful tactic that anyone can use, and you can use it right after this video, and you will build immense amount of trust off the bat, and also you will increase your conversion rate, most important of all. Because I guarantee you, if you're doing 30 presentations and if you're closing only 5, bet my bottom dollar that you're losing about 5 or 6 sales because the client did not want to work with you because you didn't engage properly and they felt uncomfortable working with you. I guarantee you that. If you guys find this video helpful, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And I'll do my absolute best to create more videos like this to help serve you guys and help you improve your sales game. Now, for those who have been really struggling in sales for many years and don't know why or what's making them stuck, and for those who've tried many different things but failed due to receiving poor tips or recommendation, I do offer a free one-on-one consultation call. And during this call, we can help you provide exactly what gap or problem that's been holding you back all these years from reaching the goal you've always wanted to. And we can also provide a strategy session for you to implement and take and give you an idea to what needs to be done in order to fix that gap in the problem. Now, you can take that strategy session that we give and you can implement yourself and you can do well. But if you need to expedite the process, if you want someone like myself besides you to help you execute that plan in a matter of 6 to 8 weeks, then we can also offer a one-on-one coaching service. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, again, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And with the tips that was given today in this video in terms of the engagement, please try that out as soon as possible and see what happens to your sales game. Thank you.